Good evening, everybody. Happy Friday to you all. I hope you all have had a great week and are doing some last minute Christmas shopping here on this BE, a beautiful weekend before Christmas. And I hope you guys have all done all your shopping. I know I'm all done. I just need to pack all my gifts and then we should be good to go. And Santa's got to get his gifts ready for the kids as well. So uh, I think we're doing pretty good. Fingers crossed. But anyways, glad you guys could make it in. It's been a very interesting week for me, a very unexpected week nonetheless. Looks like we got Sketty. Sketty was the first person in. So hello, Sketty. Sweet Polly, the one of the two winners of my last week giveaway. So congratulations to you, Sweet Polly. Donated specifically from Only Oscars, also known as June. So that was very nice of June to do that for Sweet Polly. So thank you for stopping by. Ian, thank you for stopping by as well. Greatly appreciated. I hope you guys are having a great day so far. And I hope that you guys are enjoying yourselves before it gets crazy busy right before the Christmas week. But happy Friday to you all on this December 19th, 2025. And let's hope that this year wraps up pretty good for you guys. And I hope that the next year brings nothing but good luck and good fortune to you all. So I want to thank you for being here. Sweet Polly says, thanks to June's acts of kindness. That is definitely for sure. June is a very, very, let's see, how do I describe this? She's very into the community of YouTube, and she helps out a lot of the different channels throughout the YouTube community, and she's a huge benefactor to everybody around this here FishTube community. And I do want to give out a special thanks to June as well for donating that gift during my giveaway, and I want to thank her again for the super chat that I had last time as well. So that was very nice. So, with all that being said, I was going to have a special guest tonight. Whether he has time to get on the live or not is totally up to him. If he makes it, great. And if not, then it's all good. We can sit here and chat because I actually have a topic that gathered a lot of notes about. So we're going to have a good discussion tonight and talk about a lot. Does my camera seem out of focus? I don't know. You can give me an audio and visual check. I can try to get it in focus. Does it seem pixelated to you? What about you guys? Because I can try to get it in focus. It might be focusing more towards the fish. Okay, cool. Sounds savvy. Thanks, Tim, for bringing that up. But it seems like it's okay. I can go look on my channel here real quick. But don't want to get too sidetracked here. It could be a little out of focus, but if that's okay, I think we'll be all right. But yeah, anyways, back to my original topic is that I was going to have a special guest. So if he shows up, great. And if not, no big deal. We have other days. And I was going to do a live stream this past Wednesday with Branton Lightcap. And we had it took us a while to come up with a subject matter. And then once we did, I was actually feeling a little bit under the weather throughout the beginning of the week anyways. And then it hit me really bad on Wednesday, the day that we were going to live stream. And I did set it up, but then I would end up getting so bad throughout the afternoon and like into the evening that I actually went to urgent care, and I actually ended up getting the flu really bad. I mean, it was like the whole 9 yards. It was the shakes. It was everything. So, and it had a fever of 100.4. So thankfully I'm on the upside of things right now. I'm feeling a lot better, drinking more than enough fluids I need to, and using the bathroom every hour, it seems like. But thankfully they are able to get me better and get me on the right medications to help out with that. So I'm definitely upside. I'm not 100% right now. I would say I'm about 70% right now, 65 to 70%, but thankfully everything's been good. So yeah, there is definitely a lot of stuff going around, and that's what I heard from the doctor too, that there's just been a ton of things going around between flu. I can't even think of there was stuff that's been going around. A lot of bad colds, and I know exactly who I got it from too. And it wasn't you, Tim, by the way. I got some tires to prepare for the winter because the tires that I had on my truck are only highway tires, and they were already getting kind of old. So I ended up getting some decent all-weather, mostly for the winter, for winter tires. Just because we get a lot of snow here, and we've had a lot more snow here in Ohio than I'm used to in this beginning of the season. Merry Christmas to you, too, June. We were just talking about you. We're just thanking you for the lovely donation you gave whenever you won on my game. Yeah, I think it's going around again. People are bringing up the whole C word, COVID. I didn't say it. Thank God you guys can't get any. You guys can't get sick from through this mic, through the internet, and then out into the YouTube community. So thank you for that. Internet, and this is a nice way we can all hang out, not have to worry about getting everybody sick, right? But yeah, some people do get the flu shot. I normally don't, because the last time I got it, which was years ago, it made me really sick afterwards, so I decided not to do it. Sweet Paula, I was curious as to what you bought. I sent you a message on Discord. I hadn't heard back from you, so hopefully it was all good stuff for you. But the important thing is you saved $25. But I hope you got some stuff really good. If you want to let us know in the comments, that'd be great. And if not, if you want to keep it to yourself as a surprise or just to yourself, that's fine too. But yeah, I'm glad you got to use that gift card to good use. I assume maybe the first time you've been there at Aquarium Co-op's website, or maybe you haven't. Jose was the other guy that got the gift card last time, or was the Amazon gift card. I ended up sending it to him just through text message anyways, because he preferred that. So I just took the card out and gave him the numbers, then we went about our way. So hey, Slim Tim, I haven't heard from you in a while. Hope all is well. Hope the kid inside the bun in the oven, if I should say that correctly, is doing well and everything's all peachy. Easy Green, root tabs, potassium, and some meds. That's a good mixture, man. I mean, that's a pretty good mixture. So I'm glad that you were able to put that gift card to good use. Oh, and thank you for being a member for 5 months, Tim. Thank you. All right, so that wasn't the first time. You bought several times from them. Okay, so that's good. So you have experience then. All right, well, that worked out for you well then, because I've actually never bought anything from Aquarium Co-op. I've always just gotten stuff from there's a distributor, a local fish store around me that has some Aquarium Co-op stuff. So anything that I've ever gotten has always been from those ones up north that are about an hour, a little bit more of an hour away from my house near Cleveland. Those two stores carry some Aquarium Co-op stuff, and the OCA a lot of times brings in that stuff. So that's where I've gotten mine. But I've seen some sponge filters, like some new ones that they have they have a telescoping tops on it. So instead of just having that small piece in the top, you can like add like the adapter for the telescope, and then like the inline or the airline, I should say, has a little button at the top, or where the top of the sponge is, where the bottom of the tube is, and you just stick that airline right there, and it goes out, and then you have that tube that goes all the way to the surface for like surface agitation, as well as, you know, the bubbles bubbling and popping for surface agitation. So it's a really interesting sponge filter. It's got me very intrigued. So I might be buying stuff from Aquarium Co-op here in the near future, because after looking at their website, they actually have a lot more stuff that I shouldn't say not as I anticipated, but they have a lot more stuff that I realized that could be very useful in my fish room, for that matter. So I believe that. Third trimester. Yeah, you're welcome. I always try to keep you in your thoughts, because I know that you're looking forward to it. So I haven't seen you in a while, so it's good to see you in here, my friend. Jesse says, when I'm walking around stores with my 45 on my hip, people are a lot nicer to me or don't talk to me. Either way, win-win. Fair enough. I think I would steer clear away from you too. And I would be nice to you. I'd be like, hey man, no hard feelings, right? Yes, all the best to you and your wife for sure, just like Sketty says. Getting back to what I was originally talking about too, you guys really distract me with all your comments, and it's nice to see. So I really appreciate that. But unfortunately, I was pretty sick Wednesday evening. I was bad. My fever was not dropping. I was taking the wrong medication to begin with. So they hooked me up with the right medication to help kind of get the healing process done. And I was already like halfway through. So I was like right in the middle of being sick. So these last couple of days has been on like the opposite end of the spectrum where things slowly started getting better. And then today I feel a little bit more like myself. Like I said, maybe 60, 70% better. So my voice is still not all the way there yet. But I think I should be good. And I'm in the clear. And fingers crossed that no one else will get sick, from me, because I tried to stay away from them as well, knowing that I was already sick to begin with. Thanks, Tim, for stopping in. Hopefully you feel better. Man, speaking of getting sick, sounds good. And thanks for stopping in for a little bit, Tim. Take care of yourself. Cece, hello. Thanks for stopping in and hanging out with us. I appreciate it. We got a really good topic to talk about. Everyone wishes you well, Tim. So have a good night. Take care. And hopefully I'll talk to you tomorrow. So I brought this subject up today, and I want to have a good discussion about it too. So I'm going to kind of give you my thoughts and inspiration on this topic. And then, because I want to try to stay focused on that, to give you my opinion on it. And then we can kind of open up to see what other people think as well, and let us all know about that. Jose's in here too. Joy of Fish Keeping. Thank you for coming in. Walking home and out of work. I appreciate it. This is a very interesting topic, and I think it gets brought up every once in a while, but I thought I'd bring it up again. I've never personally talked about it on a live stream or on a video, but I think this is something that's well worth touching base on during the holidays and during birthdays and such like that. So now that we're about 15 minutes in and we got about 12 people watching, I think that we have a good amount of people in the chat. We have some this and that. I've kind of gotten out of the way of what's been going on this week and all that. My topic tonight revolves around Christmas and tanks. And so what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, let me get my notes up here, is if it's a good idea or a bad idea. If you guys ever watched Animaniacs, they always had this thing where, I think it was like black and white, but they always had this thing where it showed up. They were real short too. It says, it's time for another good idea or a bad idea. And then they say good idea, they would do a short example of saying, this character does this, and then a bad idea, and then something dreadful happened to him. So this is my rendition of that is it a good idea or a bad idea for someone to buy new fish or a fish tank for Christmas? And it can also be either a birthday celebration, a special event, or anything of that nature too. So let me give you guys the good idea, and about doing this. Because I want to know if you guys have ever done this. Have you guys ever bought anyone a fish or a fish tank or a fish kit setup or, plants or anything of that nature to buy someone for Christmas, as a surprise, or if it was something you've always wanted to do for someone, for your friends, family, and loved ones, or have you just never done it before because you don't want to risk it or anything like that for the reasons that I'm going to give you guys. So let's go with the good. These are ideas that I came up with. The reasons I come up for is a good idea to buy fish or fish tanks. It could be either or. We'll just talk about it in general as both subjects. Is This always reminds me of like getting a goldfish in a fishbowl at the fair. But a good idea. I have several here. It introduces a new hobby for someone. It can be exciting. So if someone like wasn't thinking of fish keeping before, but they kind of had it in the back of their mind, especially for like your kids and stuff like that want to do something that introduces something new and exciting. It can be very exciting for both parties to enjoy themselves, do it together, especially if you have kids and stuff. That can be understandable. For some people, it can be a stress reliever. It can be PTSD. I know that some people have gotten it just to be able to be a stress reliever. So I think that's a very good thing to see in that. And that's a very good aspect for people who have a very high success rate from learning from experience, and also creating themselves a naturistic feel in their house to have a stress-free relaxation, atmosphere in the house. So that can be a great thing for that, to buy a fish tank for, or fish. It can create my third thing here is creating a very peaceful focal point. Of course, unless you have African cichlids who don't get along, AKA me, because that's happened with me, long story short. So that's why I'm been downgrading from African cichlids for quite some time. But nonetheless, that's a side topic. It can be very peaceful and a very good focal point. So say if you want to have a fish tank, which I have one upstairs in my dining room, it's right next to the dining room table, the main dining room table. There used to be one that was by the coffee table in the kitchen. We no longer have that one there. So it could bring up, conversation. I would have people working on, appliance maintenance or coming in to do house maintenance, like your regular upkeeps on like your furnaces. What else? Like any equipment that you have here that you need a company to stop by and look at, like we had basement work done. So it creates a nice focal point where people come in. They're like, oh, that's really cool. You want that to happen in other people's houses. So that's why it can be a very focal point and peaceful for someone to see and make conversation with and have a dinner conversation with. It also teaches new and young fish keepers responsibility. And that's a big one too. Because you want to teach your kids and your new fish keepers some responsibility and have that under their belt. And it's a great tool, a useful tool to be able to utilize in their own life, as an example too. And I would like to hope and think that my kids would do fish keeping in the future, but I will never know. On a side note, my family has never owned a fish tank. I've owned one as a kid before, and then that was when I was young, and that was it. But I do not come from an aquarium background. None of my, they enjoy fish just like I do, and they've appreciated everything I've done between the start to now. And this has all been me. My wife and my daughter, they've really enjoyed the fish, and this has all been a project for myself, just for my own benefit and my own pleasure for owning fish and taking care of them, that sort of thing, and learning down the road. So it definitely teaches responsibility. So it's also educational to learn about water chemistry, plants, biology, your types of fish, and what they go well with. So it creates a lot of educational purposes for new fish keepers and that sort of thing. Also, another point to bring up that I thought was improved sleep. So some people like the noise of the air pump, or like the pump I have here, the linear piston pump, that runs all my fish tanks. Some people like that noise because it's like a white noise to them. It calms them down. Some people like the noise of the bubbles that everything makes and stuff. And it's just relaxing to them because it's just puts them at that peaceful nature, It also, I think this is kind of a neat one. It's a very visualistic aspect of why you want to buy fish or a fish tank for new fish keepers, is that you have a lot of creativity, and you have curiosity, especially with aquascaping and making it their own. Because that's the beauty of getting into this hobby too, is when you buy a fish tank for someone, it makes them think about a lot of different things as far as what they want to put in the tank, how they want to set it up. Every fish tank is different. You're not going to go to a single house and be like, oh, that fish tank is exactly what I have in my fish tank. Those fish get along great. Well, those ones will never go well. It's just, they'll never go well together, but every fish tank is different. Every fish is different. Every aquascape is different. And it's down to what their own personal liking is. And I think that's fantastic, is to create that creativity and curiosity for everybody. And it also teaches them commitment. It's something that, if they want to be, definitely, solid, put their foot down and say, yes, I'm going to go drive the whole entire way and never stop. And even if they, can't be afraid to fail, because that's going to happen, just like anything else that you do new in life, that you can't be afraid to fail because you will learn from those mistakes, as I have myself. But it teaches them commitment for the hobby. So those are my good ideas. Let me run through the comments and see your guys' thoughts on the good ideas, and then we'll go to the bad ideas on buying for Christmas. Let's see here. What do we got here? Skitty says it's a bad idea at Christmas time. So it might be a bad idea for Christmas time, because I think Christmas time is more beneficial for like friends and family and that sort of thing. I always think of like buying an aquarium for someone for their birthday, something to do nice for somebody at random for a surprise or something like that. Ian likes the idea. And oh yeah, just as I said, it's better at another time of year. What else do we got here? I'll try to get through all your comments and highlight them as we go along. But not sure if that's a good idea. A fish tank is a good gift. Livestock, not so much. So a fish tank would be a good idea, just to get them kind of getting their fins wet / feet wet. So that is a good point. You don't want to get too excited about buying fish. Now, if they already own fish tanks and they've just never got it started, or maybe they can learn about, the nitrogen cycle and kind of get that started, get them some already established media from your previous tanks, from your previous sponge filters, give it to them in a bucket or a bag, have them start their tank up, and then say, hey, let's go do this. Let's go get some fish for you, and we'll get everything set up for you. Ian says it could be a good idea, and why not? So there's a lot of different opinions on this, which is great. CC says, I think people here can give people fish as long as the other person is also a fish keeper or in your home. And we'll talk about that in a second too, because I totally agree with you on that. Hey, Alex, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Nice to see you in here. June says, my mom had 2 tanks and I always had turtles. I've never had turtles before. I always thought about owning them. I know my wife really thinks that the small turtles, she always thinks are really cute. She sees them in the store swimming around and stuff, going back and forth between land and water and that sort of thing. So I think that's kind of cool. Put it through a cycle over Christmas, and then come New Year, add the fish. That's a good idea too, Ian. I never thought of that. But that is a good tactic to do, to try to get someone some established media, wait for the tank to settle in for a little bit, and then buy the new fish. Maybe even get some Fritzheim 7 along the way and try to add it into your tank as you get your new fish, just to be on that, that safe side of that comfort zone, that you're going to feel that everything's going to be okay. You're saying kids, not so much. They are adults now and they enjoyed them as kids. Yeah, and that happens when, some people, or I shouldn't say some people, but when people get older, they their hobbies and interests change, and then they may never do it again. It depends on who they hang out with, what they want to do, what their end goal is, as far as their hobbies is, what they want to achieve. I've always wanted this, June. I've always wanted a seahorse tank. If I ever were to do anything that's in the marine life, I just don't know where you would buy a seahorse. A do not touch tank, because I know that I bet those got to be expensive, especially to ship here in Ohio. Yeah, it's been unfortunate. I was really disappointed, because I was really looking forward to Brandon and I's live stream, Jesse. But You're more than welcome to come up too as well, Jesse, whenever you want, if you are able to, and if not, no sweat. Um, oh, sold the babies to the fish store, man. And that's something that's we're going to talk about too. That was one of the bad things is you might be a bad idea to buy someone a fish tank or a fish because they might be afraid to fail too, and you don't want to buy someone like that that's going to be in that nervous state, of I don't know what to do, sort of thing. But we'll get to that in a second. Hope you got it. Hope you got it before it got anybody else. I'm sure that cat was just as surprised as you. Only cats here taking care of cats instead of only Oscars. Are you going to name your cat Oscar now? Those who dare to fail miserably can achieve greatly. Oh, so that was a John F. Kennedy quote. So, yeah, I've definitely learned a couple things from me failing as well, and I've rerouted my aquarium. I guess I should say I'm starting to, because of the whole African cichlid thing. I'm just slowly going to be moving my process into a different direction, but it's just going to take some time. But I hope to update you guys with everything as we go along. But thank you for that quote. It's a good one. It's all over your shabunkin' tub. I'm assuming cat. Fish tank and equipment is a great idea. Livestock, I would say, as a former fish store employee, if you want to gift livestock, ask the hobbyist what new fish they're looking for or create a fish wanted list, and you can shop for them. So that makes sense. I think that's a good point too, because we already brought that up as well. I think we were talking about that earlier with Sketty. But I think that's definitely a good idea, especially if someone has had it in the back of their mind that they've always wanted to start a fish tank or get fish. And then you could buy that for them as a Christmas present and then fish down the road. So I do think that's a really good point, coming in hot from Facebook. Thank you, Alex. CZ says, if you want to set up a tank and do something good, set one up at your local community center. That's interesting. So how does that work then, CC? Have you had experience in this? Have you done this just as like a way of kind of like a advertisement at your community center? Or is it something that, like, for example, like there's a dentist office or a doctor's office or a community center, like for like gym related things, exercise community center, that sort of thing, basketball, pool. If that's something they want to do, to set them up for them, just to kind of show off what you can do and that sort of thing, it might be neat to do that. Of course, asking for permission, of course. Yeah, and it's the fish cycle. If you want someone to learn about it, it would be a good idea to at least reminisce about the nitrogen cycle. But nowadays, it's just so easy to just get established media from other tanks, especially like your bulky sponge filters, and just get all that muck and beneficial bacteria stuck. Shove it in a bag, shove it in a box, or I should say bin, or a bucket, and just give it off to someone to start up fresh. Give it a day for it all to clear up, and then be on your way. Because I've done that with multiple. Whenever I had 30 plus tanks on here at one time, that's what I did with every single tank, and it has worked every single time. So one of my kids is a professional aquarist but doesn't have a tank. What's the deal? You got to get on him on that. Also, I'm finishing up on a cycling guide for people that's inspired by the pet care guides at Petco PetSmart. Very nice. People can print them out or send a link with a fish tank gift. Well, that is very neat, CC. Thanks for sharing that. That is very unique. It's very nice you can be inspiring for those at Petco and PetSmart. That's really neat. A very simple tank. Okay, I think that's all I would have too. Is I would have a very simple tank with seahorses, and that would be it. He refused. Fair enough. Jesse, I see your comment. I'm not going to highlight that. Hey, Finnegans. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. Jose says, giving fish as long as a person knows what they are getting. the fish are compatible, and as long as they are fish keepers as mentioned above. Fair enough, Jose. I agree totally on that. And we'll get into the bad stuff too. And we'll kind of reminisce about the stuff that you guys have already talked about. And I'll give you my bad thoughts on that as well. So I do think that's very important to me, is you have to make sure the person has some type of background, either if they stopped doing fish keeping before, and then later on down the road, like maybe 10, 15, even 20 years down the road, I don't know, an X amount of years, are like, oh, I want to get back into it. So at least they have that background knowledge that they know what they're doing, as opposed to someone who's brand new. So those are all fair points. Thank you for that. She wanted to make sure you had all the chocolate in there, man. For the community center thing, you contact them and see if they're interested in adding a fish tank. If they are, tell them what you have, and they will give you an area. That's very neat. That's something to think about for me. I would have to really look into seeing if someone wants to do that or not, and then I could even start it up for them. That's very interesting. I never really thought about that. I was thinking about doing it maybe for work, but then I realized I do have on our schedule, we have a lot of time where we do have a very significant odd schedule, but at the same time, we also have a fair amount of time off. So I feel like that would kind of interrupt my time off, because I live not fairly long, but about a 37-minute drive from work, and I would be the only one that would be taking care of the fish. So if something were to happen, if the tank were to leak, or if there was something that died, or if something happened, it just wouldn't be good, because say if a fish died in that tank and I don't go back to work for like another week or so, give or take, that ammonia is going to start spiking, the fish isn't going to get taken care of. No one's going to feed them. So I think that would be kind of like a big responsibility for the people that have the fish tank at the location, because they have to be committed as well to be able to feed the fish if something were to happen, that they would know how to react to it, and not in like an emergency sense, but just in a minor sense that, like, say, for example, like my wife, if she sees a fish die whenever I'm at work, because it's happened before, she can take the fish out and then she can remove it and, disperse to it as needed. And if something is wrong, she can call and tell me, and then I can kind of, give her some steps along the way. So it takes a little bit of responsibility on both ends. So I do get that. And they'll waive the fees if you have them. Waive fees if they have them, so you can do maintenance on it. Oh, so you're saying that, like, excuse me, sorry guys. I know that there's like annual fees that you got to pay on your membership for your community. So that would be kind of cool. I've never heard that before, but that's really neat. We all want chocolate milk now. Yes, me right here. I just haven't had it in a while because I've been sick. But I cannot have eggnog. I do love eggnog. I know a lot of people don't. My wife hates it. My daughter hates it. I don't know if my mom or dad even drinks it. But I've always loved it, even as a kid. But I have to drink it in small doses, because if you have too much of it, it gives you a really bad stomach ache. But as long as I have, a small cup of it and just take small sips of it, I'm usually good to go, and it's perfect. I have had it with rum, Tim. Or I shouldn't say rum. It was another, I can't remember what it was. It's been a long time since I've done that. But since 2020, I don't really partake in a lot of alcohol in my life anymore. So I just like it by itself. So anyways, let me get to my second point. Let me get back to my notes here. You guys are talking about eggnog. I know that David Elfish, I know that we always like to get on him about the eggnog thing, because all of them in their late night streams, we always bring up eggnog, especially around this time of year. And we always try to bring up the most disgusting things we can talk about to gross him out. But let me get back to my notes. Here are my bad ideas for buying someone a fish or a fish tank during the holiday season, or birthday for that matter. So here we go. And these are in no particular order myself. And the good idea was in no particular order myself either. And like we went through before with the comments, the good ideas, there is some, there can be some opinions on it too, and it can even I shouldn't say backfire, that sounds bad, but it can be like on the opposite spectrum, even if it was pointing out a good idea, because we all can have a conversation about what we think about this whole entire situation as far as the subject goes. So here we go. Here, my first bad idea could be afraid of the long-term commitment. Fish are not decorations. They are living, breathing creatures that require regular care and maintenance. So like we had talked before earlier, is that we want to make sure that everyone knows what they're doing. Everyone has at least a general knowledge of what's going on what they're committing to on their fish tank. Because it is a very long-term commitment, and it can take a lot of time and energy to do. So you want to make sure that you have that commitment for the future to be able to stay with this hobby in the long run. I mean, just like any hobby, if you want to stay with it, it's going to take some time. And fish keeping in general, it takes a lot of time, commitment, and patience, and that sort of thing. The second thing I have is, depending on why it could be a bad idea, is depending on the size of the fish and the fish tank, it could be very, very costly, very, very expensive for the surprise fish tank or the fish that they buy. Even if someone already has a fish tank running but has no fish, they might buy a fish. And I always like to bring up the Oscars because they get so big, but that's just always the first thing that goes to me. And I always think of June too as well. But it could be very expensive, with the food, the aquascaping. You get to multi-tank syndrome. Then you start getting equipment cost of fish, trying things out and failing multiple times. But you can learn from that, like we had talked earlier, that it's okay to fail. We just kind of be able to learn from that and then kind of go from there as that goes along. But it can be very expensive without realizing it, and then getting into it and realizing, oh crap, now I can't take care of 30 tanks because I have 2 kids now. This guy right here. No, but the expensive part wasn't the reason why I was diminishing my tanks, because I'm fortunate enough to be able to afford the operation that I had and the things that I was doing down here. And it was a whole lot of fun. I don't regret any of it. And I don't take back any cost, relation to the hobby itself. But yeah, I've already explained this enough to you guys. It's been on my live stream. So that was the reason why I downsized, is because of, being able to have that time to be able to do that. But yeah, money is definitely a thing. My third thing is you start getting into it. You buy them this new tank and this fish eventually, and then it takes a lot of time and effort to manage and maintain fish tanks, which a lot of people love getting into the planted tanks nowadays because it's more easy maintenance and stuff. So that's another reason why that you buy it. It might be a good idea at first, but as down the road, they don't realize that, like, even if you say, oh, it's going to take a lot of time, it's going to take a lot of time. But it really, in reality, starts to set in a little bit, weeks, months go by, and then they realize after, they have a lot going on, whether it be friends, family, relatives, life happens, long story short, that it might be too overwhelming. And then they're kind of in a position to where they don't know what to do. So that could be a bad reason why too, to buy someone this for Christmas as a gift. It's all in good minds and good thoughts, doing it. But I guess it's just one thing you have to keep in mind to the person you're buying for sure. My next thing on here, number 4, is buying a fish tank to someone who has little to no knowledge of fish to begin with, and could be stressful if the willingness to learn is not there. I dropped my sandal here. But anyways, yeah, it can be very stressful, especially when you're trying to, now if it teaches your kids something new, you just have to, thankfully that you're going to have the knowledge yourself to be able to take care of the tank, but you want to slowly transition them into trying to learn themselves. But if you're just throwing a tank at someone or throwing a fish at them and immediately hoping that everything goes well and they take care of it themselves, it can be stressful. And it may not, and if it becomes stressful, then they may not have the willingness to learn and the willingness to be able to keep doing it as it goes along. And then they're like, oh, well, fish keeping I don't want to do that anymore. It was too much work. And that can be a bad thing to do, especially when you spend the time and money and effort to do that to someone. And then a few months down the road, then you might have this person, you're like, oh, I got rid of that fish tank. And you're just kind of like, now we're kind of like in a limbo situation of like, what the heck's going on? My next thing on the list is when they get their first fish tank, and then they have, of course, we all know about the multi-tank syndrome, also known as MTS. I guess long story short, I did have a longer note on this, but I guess I wanted to be on the shorter note of this, is that the life balance in the I guess I could say like the circle of life of everything that you need and have your center of attention be, of course, your family, and then everything else that revolves around it, whether how close to the circle or how far away it is from the circle. You want to make sure to keep that life balance in motion and not have something interact with that center thing or whatever that center is in your life that you're focusing on. Because, with multi-tank syndrome, it's great. It's wonderful if you have the time to be able to manage it and maintain it. And I feel like that's something that can be a struggle when you buy something for someone, even if they already have fish tanks. Buy them another fish tank. Then it could give them that idea to buy another fish tank, and all of a sudden there's other things happening in the fish tank that are a little bit more overwhelming. So you just kind of have to create that gentle balance of knowing where your life stands. And I can relate to that personally, for example, just because of the fact that my channel has changed a little bit. I've already released a couple things that are non-fish related, so I have to accommodate my life with what's going on in my center circle. So that would be another bad idea on buying someone another fish tank, because you don't want to overwhelm them with too much going on too without knowing it. My next step is adequate space. So even if they have fish tanks, whether or not they do, I guess I should say, is make sure that they have the adequate space for it. You got to have, and especially with big tanks, there's a lot of water holding in these fish tanks, and you want to make sure that they have a correct support system to be able to hold these glass boxes full of water. Not only that, there's a substrate. If you have realistic rocks in there, if things are heavy, you have to just know what your house is, depending on where you're sticking these things. You don't want anything to happen. The structure of your stands and everything goes into place to effect. So if someone buys you a fish tank and you just don't have the room, if your apartment complex doesn't have the space to put it in, or your house is too small, or your house isn't built the way you need it to, you just got to make sure that you have room for it. You don't want to overwhelm yourself with that big tank and not being able to have room to do your day-to-day activities. All right, so the next thing on my list is you want, it's the last on the list for bad stuff. Then I'll get back to the comments, and then I'll get to my alternatives after that. So my last thing is, sometimes when you start a tank and you want to do something nice for someone and it goes great, I like to call this the honeymoon phase, where everything is going peachy, everything is great. You're lasting a few months and everything is great. The fish are surviving, the plants are growing, you're doing your maintenance schedule, you're on top of things. And then all of a sudden something happens, and you might have made a good choice in the beginning, but as things started revolving and you start forgetting about things, and all of a sudden your maintenance starts fading away and your life schedule starts getting busier. And then next thing you know, a month rolls by and you haven't done a single water change. So I think that would be like another, I guess, bad idea in a sense to buy someone a fish tank, is you kind of want to know the person that you're buying a fish tank for a little bit. So that way you kind of have an idea roughly of like, if you think that this is going to be a smart decision or not, and, make good choices of saying, hey, is this a good idea or a bad idea? And if this is a bad idea, then maybe I should wait off on this. And like we had talked previously on the good idea parts, is to buy the fish tank first and then see where it goes and buy the fish later. And if not, save the receipt. You never know. Give them a gift receipt, that sort of thing. So that way, if they buy it and they're like, you know what, I changed my mind, but I'm going to take this back and get my money back, and then I'll go do something else, which is perfectly fine, because then that means that they can use it for something else they're liking and that sort of nature. So let me roll back to the comments. I got 41 to go through here, and let me see if I can sift through some of these and we can chit chat a little bit more. And then I have alternatives and final thoughts before my live stream is up. So let me catch back up with you guys. If I missed your comment, I do apologize. Okay, so I'm back to the eggnog. All right, let's go back down. A and E. Hey, Craigs, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Temps are not fish friendly in most of the U.S. during Christmas. Yeah, so I'm assuming you're talking about shipping fish. It might take me a while to catch up on this because I've got a lot of comments to go through yet. But yes, I know that Jody P, she stopped doing shipping. I know Branton doesn't like to ship around this time of year just because it gets busy and the mailing can get delayed a lot due to weather conditions or whatever. But you have to be careful of where you're shipping at because temperatures fluctuate throughout the United States, as we all know it. And I would hate to send a fish, even if you have the proper care, to apply heat packs, to apply cold packs within your shipping, your insulation. It would just be something to be cautious about. So that makes sense. Jesse says, what is the difference in getting one a tank as a gift on Xmas versus what is the difference in gifting one a tank as a Christmas gift or as a gift on Christmas versus birthday or anniversary? I'm thinking of it more of like a, and I'll get to the alternatives. This is one of my alternatives. I think of more of like a, during Christmas time, I always think of like buying someone a kit. And then when that first crossed my mind when I thought about this and I was typing my notes out for tonight, is that a Christmas gift I think would be a 55-gallon kit or something like that, or it can be even small. It could be like a 20-gallon kit that comes with your filter, your tank, what else? Your heater, the whole kit and caboodle. So I think that's what I think of as Christmas. Now, as a birthday, I don't think I would ever buy anyone a fish tank for an anniversary. Personally, I always think of buying something like a gift card or something like that, or buying something like a 5 and a 10 year, one of those wooden things that you're supposed to do every year. I think it's like a different 5, 10, 15. You're supposed to buy someone something different each 5 years or something. So I don't think I would ever do it for an anniversary. But I think for a birthday, I feel like on a birthday, you would want to buy someone a fish if they already have tanks set up. And if they don't, then I would want to buy someone just a tank and see what they think and go from there, or like a gift card per se. But that's kind of what I think the difference is. I always think of Christmas, lots of presents, lots of stuff. So you get like this big fish tank full of stuff. So you have like this, essentially you think of it as a big present. You open up your fish tank and then you open up all the stuff in the fish tank. So it's like you're opening up all your presents that were in this box. So maybe that would be a good difference. Pets aren't the best pets unless they're for me. Pets. Oh, okay. So you said gifts. Okay. Pets aren't the best gifts unless they are for you. Okay, fair enough. I get it, June. You said aren't the best gifts. Okay. Scotty says, I would like to downsize my 10-gallon tanks. That's interesting. You're going to go down to like desktop tanks, maybe, is what I'm thinking. Like we're talking about like a 5-gallon, maybe. Tim doesn't think fish should be gifted as gifts. The same as cats and dogs. It's a commitment, not a gift. And I do agree with that. I definitely do agree with that. I think we should see this bird, Jesse. I'm curious now. Oh, no. June, we could all comment on this. 260 breeders. So that's how you're downsizing. So let me guess, you have 6 10-gallon tanks? Or no, I'm sorry. That doesn't make sense. 260 breeders. So you have 12, 120. So we got 10. Yeah. So you have 12 10-gallon tanks, and you want to downsize to 260 breeders. I see what you did there. Gunner hatched this batch of whiptails babies. Very nice. Oh, he broke a filter. Oh no, that's pretty snow. Oh, yep, just making a mess of things. Like getting a pet, but once the newest wears off and realize it's work money, then it's like, yeah, it's exactly it. Like the honeymoon stage. Yep. Hey, Jody P, thanks for stopping by. We're talking about the goods and bads of buying people a fish or a fish tank during the Christmas season. So thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. I recently, for all who don't know, I recently got some fish from Jody P. They're also doing well. Shoot, I forgot to bring my food down here. Jody, I was going to show you the food that I bought. I'll just probably send you a message. But they were pretty relative to what you send me. I bought 2 things. Let's see here. Snow is 45 miles to the east. Wow, 32 inches a year. That's insane. Gene says, make stupid mistakes because you had to rush off to the hospital. Yikes. That is not good. That is definitely not good. Yep. Tacos, burritos for dinner. So, boy, that just sounds like a trip to the bathroom, Jesse. Oh, speaking of snails, I have a random snail pop up. It's not a Malaysian trumpet snail, but when I look at my history, that speaking of snails, it was a round snail. I cannot think of the name of it, but it's another pest snail. I cannot think of the name of it, but at any rate, I have another ram's horn. Is it ram's horn snail? I think that's what it was. It's in my new planet tank, and no one's bothering it. And from what I understand, what I looked up, that they can populate quickly too. Yeah, and I've heard good things about him too. Shipped in a styrofoam cooler with a heat pad. Alfish knows how to ship. And Jody P, I knows has done really well shipping, because whenever I got my fish, the temperature was definitely below freezing. I think it was in the 20s when the box arrived. But I literally got it as the UPS arrived, because I scheduled this purposely so I'd be home so I could watch for the box for it to get home. So that's good. I've heard very good things from David. Yeah, if you guys haven't checked this out, please do, and try to give it a like. I really do appreciate it. Please watch this. It's on my channel. He posts, or Jesse, thank you for posting that. Actually, that was my first unboxing from Jody P. I appreciate you doing that. Downsize does mean more gallons. Very true. Ram's horn, yeah, that's it. Yeah, they are doing well. I'm a little nervous for the Pleco, because all he does, I need to get another cave. I do have one. I just haven't put it in there yet. But he's been hiding underneath the sponge filter for the majority of this time he's been here, and he currently is. But I did get some of those carnivore wafers. That was one thing I do remember getting from Hikari. I know Hikari is a very good brand. I've heard good things about them throughout the whole community, and even the fish stores. And I got some bottom feeder algae wafers too, on top of the community fish food. So I think I'll be good. I'm crossing my fingers that this new food I got, that I'll actually see him eat and not see him underneath the sponge filter. But yeah, ram's horn. There we go. Thank you. I thought that's what it was. They populate only if you don't want them. Okay. Figure. I was just blown, because my mind was blown, just because I've never seen those before in my fish tanks. So I don't even know where he came from. And it could have came from anywhere. Yeah, I think I want to try to get a small little cave for him too, or at least something, because I do have a log that's almost fully enclosed. I think it's got like a hole at the top that I can slide that in, the 20-gallon long, and I want to see if he kind of goes in there and frolics in there for a little bit. So I'm assuming he eats because I did put it was like a big wafer. It was I feed those to like this tank over here, so they're fairly large. So I did see it break up a little bit, and even the angel started pecking at it a little bit. But it is all gone now, so I'm assuming at some point he did eat the algae wafer. But yeah, snails everywhere. There's a ton of trumpet snails behind this in wall or 3D background, this slim background from Aqua Decor. It's very neat, but there are so many snails behind there. But they're staying controlled because every so often you'll see them pop up through the substrate because they'll crawl through the substrate and then find themselves surfacing at the top. And then the yo-yo loaches you'll see them start pecking at them. So they're staying in control, and they're not overpopulating back there, which is great. But yeah, my yo-yo loaches are eating the crap out of those things. All right, so now I'm caught up with chat. I appreciate each and every one of you are participating. Let me give you some alternatives. I have a few alternatives and final thoughts. So here's some alternatives instead of buying someone a fish or fish tank for Christmas, and that's fish related, is buy someone a gift card. We brought that up earlier about instead of doing that, maybe buy them a gift card to a pet store and have them get what they want. And that's suitable for their household, their situation, and you can even go with them. That way that if you're still have that itch in the back of their head, or they have that or the thought in the back of their head and like the itch that they just want to get that fish tank but they can't fully commit, buy them a gift card and just help them out. You have that general knowledge of how to keep your fish tanks. You've been doing it for years and they want to start, but you want to kind of guide them along the way. Then that would be a perfect thing to do, is buy them a gift card at their local pet store. Second thing out of 3 that I have is ask ahead of time how they feel about the hobby and not make it a surprise. Some people don't like surprises. I get it. I personally don't like surprises myself. And I feel like, especially for a fish tank, let alone if you buy someone a cat or a dog and they're not prepared for it, you need to know someone's, background per se. Even if they're family and stuff, you need to kind of know like what they've been doing in their lives and see what's going on and then see if it's an okay situation. But always ask ahead of time. It never hurts to ask about how they feel about the hobby and what they think about it. Because even like my folks have been down here and they love the fish tanks, but my mom would want one, but I would always have to be the one to probably take care of it because they do take a lot of vacations. My dad goes to Florida for throughout the majority of the wintertime. So they just wouldn't be around the tank enough to be able to take care of it on a full-on basis. So that's something that you just talk to your person that are curious about it, and then buy them a gift card. And then the third thing I have is, have they been in the hobby before and they're wanting to get back into it? And I think that's kind of important with also getting to know your party that you are curious to buy this fish tank for or a gift card. Is just ask them if they've been in the hobby before. Ask them, did you used to do this as a kid? Did you used to do this, as a young adult? Did you enjoy it or did you not enjoy it? Even if it was from a recent friend that you've acquainted with and you've been friends with for about a year or so, and you're like, oh, hey, by the way, and they didn't know you had fish tanks for like a year later. And you're like, oh, you have fish? Really? And it's just like, oh, did you used to have fish? And you kind of talk to each other a little bit and kind of converse about that. And you say, well, when did you have fish? As an idea to kind of spark a little bit of interest on them. So that's a good way of, some alternatives for you guys to think about, I guess. So anyways, here are my final thoughts for my topic tonight, because it is about an hour in. So I want to give you my final thoughts. Is whoever you're buying for, make sure that a person or make sure that the person that is interested knows a little bit about, keep taking care of fish, knows a little bit about the hobby, has a little bit of history with it, friends or family, get a small background check of their interest in the hobby, make sure that they feel that they're comfortable. I wouldn't do a whole full-on surprise and that sort of thing, because I think that's a bad idea. And I think it's just going to be a horrible mess between both parties of trying to figure the whole thing out, because a surprise, especially for a fish tank, might be too overwhelming and too much at one point. So I do want to take that in consideration. like we had talked before throughout the entire chat, which are great things to bring up. My second thing out of three is be understandable, not only for them, but for you as well, for both parties, and be considerate of each other. And that's the key important thing too, is don't let something like this ruin a relationship for both parties, because you want this to be a fun thing. And if it's not going to be any fun, even if it's immediately fun at the beginning and then not so fun down the road because they realize it's too much work, you don't want that to happen. And this is supposed to be a fun time of year, so I mean, you want things to be fun for both parties, be able to help each other out along the way. I felt my friend Tim a lot, and he still has his fish tank to this day, so he's been fully committed. He's asked me a lot of questions. I got him started on this hobby, and we've been friends for a while, so that's going great. Him and I's relationship's going great. So in a nutshell, just be understandable and considerate of each other. And if someone doesn't want a fish tank, then that's okay. Take it back to the store, return it. If they don't want pets, get a different gift card or find someone else to give it to if the return date goes past due. Most of those things come with gift receipts too. So, and then the last thing, this is just kind of like a holiday thing, but just make good choices during the holiday season. Just do your homework in a nutshell. Know the person, do your homework, make good choices in life, and be happy and always be thankful for what you have. And if something doesn't work out, then it's okay. You'll be fine. And I think after all that's said and done, those are kind of my final thoughts of my topic for tonight. And if you want to be cool, FYI, he's been a member for 16 months. He's been a member for 16 months. Thank you, Jesse, for your long support for this channel. I do appreciate it. If you want to be cool, you got to jump on the P train. And we're not talking about bathroom P either. The P tag train. I think you need to be a little bit more specific. Jody P likes Hillstream loaches. Never go wrong with a gift card. Yep. Sometimes those are the best gifts. My wife and I, we will never say no to gift cards, because sometimes those can be the best things so they can go and get what they want. That's why for this holiday season, when I did my giveaway last week, I don't want to buy something from a store again. Not that they wouldn't use it, but I want to be able to buy gift cards for something that they want to get for their own time. Sweet Polly got what he wanted. Jose, I'm assuming you got what you wanted from Amazon. So it just makes it a pleasurable experience for both parties. So I do agree with that. Oh, I just saw this. Snails get stuck in Brenton's beard. He does have a phenomenal beard. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to buy that 50K Neo robot to do my tanks. Yeah, just like they have at Amazon, all those robots that do their jobs for us. When are they going to come out with that so they can do our aquarium maintenance so we can just sit back and enjoy the show? Yeah, and that's the thing too, Sweet Polly, is if you're very particular about something, especially when it comes to fish tanks, you don't want anybody in that fish tank, because you know how it runs, you know how it operates, you know what fish are in it, what the parameters are, how you want your tank set up. So if you're very particular about a certain tank that you want only done this way because of what works for you, and the benefit to yourself and to the fish, then that's perfectly fine. It's okay to have a tank or two like that because it probably works out better. And a gift card's perfect because you know exactly what you want for your fish tank, you know exactly what you're looking for, and you know exactly what you need for your specific, unique situation. My aunt gave me $80 cash, told my wife, give it to him and tell him he can buy a fish. It's a damn right I will. I wonder what fish to buy. For us fish keepers, if there's room for more fish, we'll make room for more fish if we have the space for it. Yes, I agreed, Sweet Polly. Agreed. You're welcome, Jody. I'm about to run here in a second because I got to get the kids to bed. All right. Take care. Thanks for stopping by. But it is about 9 o'clock. I know Stephen P. stream is going to be starting up soon, and I got to help get the kids to bed, and I need to rest my voice for the rest of the evening. Uh-oh. But at any rate, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming on this live stream tonight. I thought that this was a very fun topic to talk about. I appreciate each and every one of you stating your opinions and beliefs on this subject matter. And I wanted to just try to stay solid on it and stick with it. And then also reflect with your guys' comments as well. So yeah. Thanks again so much for watching. I'm going to go rest my voice, take my kids to bed. It's been fun having you on this live stream, and I'm so glad I got a little bit healthier to be able to do this as opposed to last Wednesday that I had to cancel. But good night, everyone. Take care. Be happy. Be safe. Be healthy. Please try to be healthy. And then have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. So good night. Take care, and we'll see you soon.